going down that walk all that way with the
or Wisbech workshop, depending on how you pronounce it, really. Now, today it's going to be a bit different. For one, I'm not using a clipboard to work on a bit of rolling stock or a loco. Instead, just this nice little board here. It's nice and white. Means I won't be able to miss any bits here or there. And normally I work with double stuff like this pannier here, which, as you can tell by the wheel motion, has no motor. It's a dummy. Good for starters, really, because it's a junk loco anyway. But what I'm working on is in this container. And it is something you would not really expect at first. And that's because it's a narrow gauge carriage. Now, narrow gauge, against double scale, can, as far as I can tell, be only told in two different scales, which are basically like HO and OO, but it's 009 and HOE. And this is an HOE carriage, mainly because both HOE and 009 stuff is not exactly very common in New Zealand, I hate to say. Now, the problem with this carriage is, and I'll bring it up to the camera so you can look. That's if the focus works. There we go. The little bracket bit holding the coupler onto the bogie is missing on this side. It was actually broken right off. Well, this saves me showing you how to take the base off. This is not a good start, is it? No. But basically what I did to get the carriage chassis off the body was I gently pried the body off with a pair of tweezers, really. I just gently shimmied the real sharp points under the body in the gap, lifted it off where the clips were, and yeah, here it came. But I have to do a bit more on this carriage than I intentionally thought, because half of the windows come out. So I'll just get the body out of here. Well, not the body, I mean the interior, which is actually quite standard. I mean, you get something like this on a Hornby carriage, really, this type of interior. Very standard, very basic. Good for production because it's cheap as chips. And I think a lot of my English viewers will get that expression. Alright, basically what I'll need to refit the glazing back into the coach body is, well, just common super glue, really. But not too much of it, because you don't want it going into the window areas where people see. So just having a look at the bit of glazing here, I'm going to try and replicate where it's been glued down. If not, slightly better positioning. So I won't be able to show you until I put the glazing in, because this is quite fiddly. Alright, that should be enough glue. But I'll show on this bit, in the glazing piece here, before the glue starts secure. What I did was put dabs of glue along the top halves of the pillars, so that way it'll stick in, as well as a nice little seam along the bottom. Now I know it ain't much to see, but this, actually the whole glazing bit wasn't meant to be part of the whole workshop idea. It was just a bad accident. Hang on, gonna need a bit more glue in the corner of the left hand side of the coach. There we go. That's a nice wee droplet in the corner. Now it's very liquidy, this glue. I don't know if you'd call it viscous or low viscosity. Not really sure. But the end result is the glazing should snap back in. And next to these neat little clamps I have here, I just use these to press the body, the glazing, onto the exterior of the onto the body, spreading the glue joint out. Hey, got in there, you. Actually, now that I think of it, I can use better clamps than these because as some people on the YouTubers page will have seen, I had a bit of an incident with my track down on the other end of the layout, and yeah, I got to fix that. So I was going to originally use these clamps, but they're too small. Ease off, but ease on. Hopefully without ruining the detail. So just adjust the height and carefully fit it on. There. One in the middle just for pity's sake, but I won't actually use these little clamps. I got a big fat one lying around somewhere. No, I mean, it's probably in the toolbox. And basically how I got my hands on the coaches was really during a bit of a run at the local model club. The train, meaning the locomotive and the first coach, came off the trestle bridge and crashed onto the main running line. Now that is bad, I admit, but thankfully trains had stopped running once I noticed that the narrow gauge train had crashed. Well, normally I would say derailed, but crashed is the better statement on this occasion. Now, this might actually be a two-parter. Basically, first half, working on the carriage. Second half, on the loco. Now, thankfully, the loco sustained way less damage. There we are. That's the coach body. Now for the main body. Now for the main of it, which is the chassis. Sorry, I just had to have me cup it to keep me filled. Now that's fiddly. Now these type of couplers, I'm not quite sure if the camera will be able to pick it up right. So hang on, put it in the box here. There. Let the camera focus on it. Good enough. Basically, I think I can get a pack of these for about 30 odd bucks, but I would have to shop from an online dealer, which I don't like doing half the time. Now, these bogies, actually the bogie and chassis itself, interest me because you get a nice bit of molded detail on the underside here. You do. It's very nice. Annoyingly, I'm not like a lot nicer than some of my standard gauge stock. So if I'm right in theory, all I have to do is just remove this pin, and theoretically, the bogie should come off. Getting the pin off out on the other hand is tricky. All right. Okay, that's going to be a bit tougher than I thought. Oh boy. Oh, there we go. Thank God I was off camera because that almost ended up right on my lap. So, bogey's now off, and there's the pin. I know it's quite tiny, but I actually have some old Graham Farish standard gauge coaches which are very similar, which is a bit odd, but Nevertheless, pretty good. Now, I can't exactly super glue this back in because I got a feeling at some time it might break off again. And redoing super glue, that means you're pretty much screwing up the tolerances that are already made into this. You're pretty much screwing off the coupler height, basically. So hang on, I'm just gonna temporarily fit it and see if this clamp would even fit on it. Because for what I have planned for it, involves having it clamped on, but not obviously not from that direction. Okay, so this is going to be a bit tricky, but a bit of a balancing act here. Okay, that doesn't work exactly the way I want it, but bugger it, I'll work with it. Now what I'm going to use, give it a shake just in case, is a bit of liquid poly here. Now this is basically plastic weld. Now I'll just wipe a bit off the brush. Don't want to use too much of it because it is quite small, this coupling pocket. Now in theory, if I stick the coupler in and hold it there, have it held there for a bit, the weld should work and hold the damn thing together. But since I'm quite impatient, I'll just clamp it like that and see how it is in a few minutes or so. But seeing how it's looking, I'm going to have to remove the feet off this wee clamp piece here. Now normally the feet would save the work, but since no one's really going to see this part in full detail, what the heck, go to full Monty on it. There we are, clamp down like a pin vise. And I'll let that sit there for a bit till I think the liquid poly will have set. Now, and weirdly, out of an old barking box, we pull out the locomotive. Now, I actually found this bit here, which, if I bring it up to the camera, I don't know if you can see it right, but those are actually side steps off part of the loco. I found it in the goods yard on the layout for some reason. Not this layout, at the club on it. And looking at the loco, I think those steps came off the tender. Weird. Now the loco itself, thankfully, did not get damaged too much. I mean, the coupler is in still good shape. A lot of the fitted detail on the loco is still there. The workings themselves is still good. Thank heavens for that. The only thing that broke off really was the headlamp, which is right here. That's the only, whoops. That's the only thing that broke off. So yeah, it should be a bit of a easy job fitting that back on. Bit of super glue, done deal. The only trouble I have is keeping it square. So you don't want a lopsided lamp. That's the annoying bit. You do not want a lopsided lamp. So after a bit of tricky work with the camera jig, I'll bring the camera more down the level so we can actually see what the heck I'm doing. Okay, tried to fit the usual camera jig. Did not work at all, which sucked. So what I did was a bit of a homemade job, but it works none the same. I get the effect I want, which is, if the autofocus will ever work right on me for once, you get a full eye view of the loco. Now, this is going to be a bit harder than I thought because it's going to be not exactly smooth, not exactly accurate, but hopefully, and I do mean, whoops, jig's starting to go a bit, sorry. The jig was starting to tip a bit because, and I'm not going to lie when I say this, the jig is basically two of these darn things, two of these clamps really, on each corner, holding it in place, and it does not seem to like that idea, which is annoying. Because it means I'll have to elevate my workspace just for the camera's sake. Jeez. Back in a tick. Okay, I elevated the stand now. I think a bit too high, but actually I can remove the whole whiteboard thing altogether now I think of it. Be a bit overdoing it really, so just this solid black plastic top. Actually, I think from a camera angle that looks a lot better. But yes, it's going to be a very, very, very simple job, this. I just need a common toothpick, cheaper super glue, and some careful hand skills. So, before I start this, gotta have something to let the glue drip on so I can chuck it away. Ah, here we are. I really have to find something, but here we go. Sorry for the dead air. What I found was just a humble bit of old paper. Just folding it to the thickness I'll need. So I'll just slide that out of the way. And get to work. And I just have to put the lamp off camera while the glue is still usable before it starts to get tacky and sets. Just making sure the lamp's fixed in place. And there we go. One fitted lamp. Now, it's very hard to get it to look right because you don't want it to look crooked. Oop, that's done to set. It doesn't take long for it to set though. This super glue dries pretty much within 10 seconds. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty good. Now, let's check out a bug is. Now that feels pretty loose. I don't like that. Bugger. And it looks like I have to use the super glue after all, just in the wee gap hole. Just in the wee hole in the back of the dang thing, if the camera will focus on it. Come on. There we go. That wee hole in the back there. So just let it down there. And I only need a wee droplet of the stuff, so there. There we go. And capillary action on its own will just help fill any gaps or crevices in there. Now I don't dare to refit the clamp on, because then I would be up the creek. Because I won't be able to remove it. But I'll just carefully hand twitch it in. Whoops, not to stand a bit. But I'll just carefully hand twitch the coupler into place. Alright. And I'll leave that to dry over here. Speaking of left to dry, I think it's time to check the body. So, take the big clamps off. Take the big gnarly clamps off. There we go. As you can see, that is a very darn autofocus, I swear. But as you can see, this is a very nice paint job. Now the camera works, right? Jeez. Nice wee quarter guard there. Love that. But flip it inside, you see the original color of the interior of the coach. Because this whole exterior, that was repainted and I didn't do it. This is way too good. Now, carefully looking at the windows, I don't see any trace of glue on them. I certainly see traces on my fat fingerprints, but yeah. But as a bit of extra precautionary, I may add, where is it? I'll use this photo point. I may use, I may add a bead of glue along the top ridge here. I said may add, unsure at the moment, but so then just seeing how the interior and that fits to it. And it fits quite nicely. I like that. Now I guess I can return the camera to its original up high stand, but I think I'll throw a little twist onto the stand if I can, which will be a bit of a height adjustment. That's a lot better fitting. It's nice and snug. And I can't exactly do a roll test because yeah, it falls literally in between the rails. But with the chassis we have here, oops, I wondered where that pin went. I just use my finger to hold that one down. See how it couples? Looks alright. Might be point skyward a bit, but there. Bend it into place a bit because the glue is actually still pliable, which I like. Alright, that's a nice strong couple. I like that. I feel good in putting the bogey back in place. Now, how I'll do this is, whoops, quite fiddly. Because first I'm putting the pin through the bogey. Then, once I get it in place on the chassis, I just fit the snug pin back in. And like nothing changed. Good as new. Now for the body. Now this is going to be a bit trickier because, yeah. I have no clue which way the coach is supposed to be compared to the chassis. So before fitting, I'm just having a quick look. Just checking how the interior will look on it. And I figured it looks alright. Figured out it actually looks pretty good. Now for the coach body, which is going to be a bit of a snug fit. Okay, this is going to be a bit harsh to do, but here we go. Basically, I'm using the same trick I did to take the body off to put it back on, which is to use these tweezers here, and that's to just, you know, slide the body onto the clips. It's not easy, I'll tell you that much, because I gotta try and relocate it. If I can, because something's catching, and I don't like that. Damn it. This is going to be a bit trickier than I thought. Okay, how they put this thing together in the first place, I have no clue. Hey. Unless I got the buggy on backwards, so just do that. No, not the buggy, the chassis on backwards, so I'll just flip that around. Try fin it now. If I can. Okay, so just taking a very careful look as how I do it. Okay, I think I've just got one side partially in. If I work fast, I might be able to get the other end. Stuff it, I just mucked up on the other side, great. This is harder than I thought. Because the darn clips have to fit in these little notches that are in the window glazing pieces. Little notch there, little notch there, and it is right tricky to align them. So if I try out the interior, it does work, sort of. This is a bigger headache than I thought. This is really tricky and fiddly, and I don't like it. Oh, I see why. Oh. It is a very snug fit in the interior. That's why clipping it back in is a right pain in the backside. I would say what I really want to say, but you can't say it on YouTube. Not without getting in trouble. Especially since I'm trying to make it a family-friendly channel. Finally, it's fixed. Thank heavens for that. I was starting to lose my patience. But yeah, it looks good. Rolls pretty nice. And the loco, let's just check that lamp. Yeah, it's straight. Looks good. I like it. And what we have here now is 2 completed narrow gauge items. Brilliant! Now, whether I've already uploaded this or not, I'm unsure because I'm kind of being a bit topsy-turvy on how I upload stuff these days, which is not really that good. But basically, next step is a bit of trap work on that very bad section that I showed in my last video. No, not last video. Dopey beggar. I meant that photo I showed on the YouTuber's page. I might actually add it into the video if I know how. But yes. Should be good. Alright, that's the logo boxed up. Weirdly not the right box, but oh well. Who gives a chuff? Now I just got to put this carriage away. So carefully fit that in there on its side. This is just sorting a tissue paper, by the way. But yeah. Bother me, because one end's not really cooperating that nicely. And to be sure, it won't be, the box won't, since it's not actually an accurate fit, make sure the box won't be accidentally opened until it's back at the model club. It's basically pretty much the bodgiest box sealant on earth, but a bit of a simple duct tape or gaffer tape, adhesive tape, builder's tape, whatever you call it, really. It's got so many names, it's nuts. Oh yeah. Sealed and good to go. Well, thank you all very much for watching this. This is Upwell and Onwards, trying not to lose his marbles on narrow gauge stuff. But yeah, joking aside,